Ron Paul get the nomination for the Republican Party.
Whoa!
I really think he's a sound traditional conservative. Yeah. It's a surprising come of things, and I really think he really sticks to the Constitution and really stands for what conservatives believe in.
Okay.
But it brings me to the other question. Is there any likely, let's say,
What are you trying to say?
top-tier GOP candidate? Because if I was a betting woman, I'd say Ron Paul doesn't have a chance.
What's success for you in this campaign?
What's success? Well, to win is one is the goal.
That's not going to happen.
Ron Paul is far out libertarian with no chance of being elected to anything other than a House seat.
If Ron Paul seems to have a certain, if you will, cult following among people even more libertarian than I.
I think it's possible that you could win the Republican nomination. Of course it's possible. It's difficult. It's likely though.
Ron Paul, $5 million. That was the breaking news in our past area. Quite impressive, especially when you compare to Mr. McCain.
Yes, may have gotten a lot of contributions from the extraterrestrial vote, but Ron Paul is not going to be the president.
Years or so, we put on this big charade and think that we're going to change things by voting for someone who sounds correct or who the media shoves in our face.
Oops, that was my bad, caller. I cut you off. Evansville. Because more than half of the Al-Qaeda that are committing suicide in Iraq right now are Saudis, and nobody even talks about
look, I'm concerned about all of this.
But when they're seeking
I think that the real small but hardcore Ron Paulers probably found something to like last night.
That we should take our marching orders from Al-Qaeda. If they want us off the Arabian Peninsula, we should leave.
No!
That it was Ron Paul. Same Ron Paul who pulls in a whopping 2% in the polls of likely Republican voters. How does that happen? Even though this guy has raised over $5 million in the third quarter, only 2%. Why is that? Well, you know, he's got for me at least, the breaking point are the policies that I don't agree with, like pulling out of Iraq.
Why Giuliani?
Clear, concise, direct answers, and he's a man who's got a track record of execution.
There you go. It was a very mixed reaction tonight, but Rudy Giuliani definitely benefited from tonight's debate, very clearly.
From Texas, Ron Paul with 25%. How? And then you got Rudy at about 20%. How is Ron Paul's number so high? We've had so many emailers say that clearly some online communities are messing with the outcome.
Ron Paul, a congressman from Texas, switching gears here, who, of course, is running for the Republican nomination. He is an isolationist.
Politico today points out, you know, obviously he's not going to win the nomination, unfortunately, but he could be a spoiler. He could hurt other candidates, namely Huckabee. Is Ron Paul's support going to get to the point where it's significant for other candidates?
I mean, I think that Ron, first of all, it's always fun when the guy gets ahead who has no intention of winning and isn't even really trying.
Liberal followers may not realize Paul, also an OBGYN doctor, is a vocal abortion opponent.
Republican Congressman Ron Paul would get the nomination. The name Ron Paul is the most searched term on the blogging website Technorati. His campaign website gets more hits by far than any other Republican candidate, and he has more friends than any other Republican candidate on the social networking website MySpace. In the real world, another thing, he is stuck firmly among the lesser-known candidates.
Welcome, Congressman. And Congressman, according to my calculation or my rough notes, we didn't hear from you until, you didn't get a question until 9:35. Do you think you're being treated fairly by the debates?
Cell phone connection.
Well,
it will be because of conspiracy if he doesn't do well.
Well, I don't know what it's going to be, but I mean, Ron Paul enjoys the support of the military. I mean, the common rank and file military, he has the most donations to his campaign.
And where do you get that?
And that's to me.
Where do you get that back? Where did you find that?
The same way you get that. I know what I read.
Ron Paul really has no business being on stage as a legitimate representative of Republicans.
Criticism. Some say you're the person who doesn't belong at a Republican debate. You are a past libertarian candidate for president, of course. You have views that are out of what many would think of the mainstream, at least of today's Republican Party. I want to read you some of the criticism that came out after this last debate and ask you to respond to the politics of it. These are some comments made of your performance. Here's Roger Simon writing in the Politico. In terms of the presidency, nobody cares what Ron Paul says, perhaps not even Ron Paul. Gloria Borger writing in U.S. News and World Report. Representative Ron Paul of Texas, who gives new meaning to the question asked by Ross Perot's former running mate, Admiral James Stockdale, who am I? Why am I here? And in the Daily News of New York, an editorial, Ron Paul, whose performance Tuesday proved him the Sanjaya of the political arena.
Note
that Ron Paul has basically allied himself with these people. He appears with Students for Truth on campus, and he's appeared on radio shows like 9/11 conspiracy nut Alex Jones. And I would hope that would disqualify him the next time around from appearing on stage with other Republicans.
Pessimism, declinism, populism, and inequality. You sounded very pessimistic tonight, sir. Was that your intent?
You've seen this with the online polls, where Ron Paul starts winning, so they pull him off the poll. That's probably happened 6, 7, 8 times I know of, in Yahoo polls and other major polls.
And
They're stacking. Yes, they're stacking the deck. That's the way they have it every campaign. He did not win this debate. Period.
All right, well, let's do this. Last night, let me run this little clip to remind our viewers what happened.
They attack us because we've been over there. We've been bombing Iraq for 10 years.
That's an extraordinary statement. As someone who lived through the attack of September 11, that we invited the attack because we were attacking Iraq. I don't think I've ever heard that before, and I've heard some pretty absurd explanations for September 11.
He really had some supporters in that auditorium. Are you ready to back away from the implication of what you were saying?
But I need shots of the audience, people eating and crap like that. Voiceover.
Ron Paul wants to give me 20 minutes in the history of the Middle East. I can't let him. All right, one more question. We got one more minute.
All right, but at one point I did feel sorry for Ron Paul.
But you feel sorry for everybody.
Well, he kind of looked
sorry for Shepard
He kind
Smith.
of looked like Barney Fife there for a second.
So if you don't get the Republican nomination, you're not in the top of the polls now. Would you run as an independent?
I mean, I guess there's people like Duncan Hunter and Tancredo and Ron Paul. They're going to have a hard time getting into the winner's circle here. Yeah, they're freeloaders.
I think there is a libertarian strain on the campuses today. I think there's a libertarian strain in every American, because all it means is you believe in liberty.
Want President Bush's endorsement? That has not crossed my mind, because I know it wouldn't come. I mean, he didn't endorse me. Would you want it? If he said to you, I want to know, do you want my endorsement? I would lose credibility. I think that would hurt me. He wouldn't offer it, and I wouldn't
say
ask him. No to President Bush's endorsement. No, I would lose all credibility.
Okay, but then what happens if we do leave? We're there. We've been there for a long time. A, what message does it send to the terrorists, the al-Qaeda terrorists who attacked us on 9/11?
You sound like a pro forma 1930s isolationist.
No, I'm not an isolationist. I am a non-interventionist, because the founders of this country that I listened to carefully were very much, they were not protectionists at all. They were free traders. They wanted trade and travel.
In fact,
and
that's
friendship.
your point. You say you're the true Republican when it comes to the Republican candidates.
Right.
And against any U.S. military or almost all foreign policy involvement abroad. You wouldn't think that would have a lot of appeal to the military. My guess is that he's used some libertarian type mailing list.
Right, let's go on to the next email. Demetria Sumner from Garland, Texas writes, Mr. Paul, it has been said that you are a libertarian in Republican clothes. Your views and opinions in reference to America's policy in the Middle East is inconsistent with that of Republican base. Some say that you are running on the wrong ticket. How do you answer this criticism? And how can we be sure, if you are elected President of the United States, that you will keep America strong by upholding true conservative values?
Although you got a few boos tonight, especially when you said America wants the war over and wants the troops home. That didn't get an applause from the Republicans you need in order to get the nomination.
RedState.com recently announced it was banning bloggers from posting Ron Paul-related comments. The site's brands Ron Paul posters as, quote, a bunch of liberals pretending to be Republicans.